Abushimmega Bidialas Yetichaskinas were Amerigami Yatsel Nahatnira Haigagane Bari Luys. Bari Luys. Thursday night, it's an English language program. As much as I know English, or as much as I know Armenian, does it make a difference? I don't think so, because all of us will understand the gestures that I make during my half an hour of TV program, where I present things to Armenians saying that Abushim megabidellas yetichaskanas vor Amerigam yatsal nahatnira haigaganen. Now, people question me, what does that mean? What are you trying to say? You will be stupid if you don't understand that the United States of America is Armenia. It's the month of April. Armenians are all over the world commemorating the genocide, because when it becomes May, we all forget about what genocide is. I would like to mention here that on Monday, April 7th, I was invited by Scottsdale Community College's Genocide Awareness Week to present a lecture there. As everybody was anticipating, somebody's going to talk about Armenian genocide, where it's going to say this many people were killed, this many people were taken out of their homes, they were refugees and such on. I presented a lecture where it says, after the genocide, the first 2 generations contributed back to humanity in a larger scale than what even the genocide has done to them. They came back and contributed to the 7 billion population of humans on the planet with inventions, with contributions and such on. And it was so fascinating for me to see how people for the first time reacted on my lecture, which was a positive lecture within the understanding of genocide awareness. And so many people came and told me, we have never thought of achieving success through the approach that you have done. Yes, the genocide has happened. Yes, over 1.5 million Armenians were massacred, and almost as even numbers been dispersed all over the planet. Yet, from 1915 and on, till today, Armenians are contributing back, even to the Turks, in making their lives better in society. So, it was a success for me, because Armenians within this community have never comprehended why I'm talking about Armenians contributing to society. So, as a person told me that mine is a public diplomacy, within the cultural diplomacy, and presenting that yes, we went through a difficult times, yet we as Armenians have contributed back to humanity. And I wish my Armenian, what can I say, brothers and sisters will understand after 100 years of thinking in one direction, not the band One Direction, but just the thought of One Direction, that we were victims and victims and victims. And then the understanding of no, we were the victorious ones is what's going to make our children and grandchildren in the 21st century be more proud of our history than what we are presenting to them, as we were kicked out of our lands, we were thrown out to the desert, our ancestors perished, and then the kids are questioning, then how come we are surviving today? So, as far as the April 24th commemorations, this year again we're going to see all the same typical lectures. They killed us, they killed us, they killed us. and nobody has interest in saying, even they killed our ancestors, some who survived, the orphans, who thrived and became better in life by way of working or getting more educated and then contributing back to humanity. That is a victorious story that every Armenian should start telling about it. I know my character as the person who bashes Armenians might not be accepted as the person who's preaching the positive input that Armenians have done to humanity. Therefore, none of those organizations invite me for lectures because they're afraid of me, yet they go with the secure understanding of, okay, let's talk about what happened in Antab, what happened in Diyarbakir, what happened in Urfa, Marais, Zeytun. So what? It's been 100 years. If you're not strong today, you can never demand what is rightfully yours. But if you stay as the weak person who you were 100 years ago, you will still be the same weak person. By the way, only the Sacramento community has invited me on April 25th to talk about Armenian American contributions to humanity after the Armenian genocide. It's interesting. It's about time right now for us as Armenians, who, you and I, are living in the most wonderful period of our history. We are so independent in what we can do, yet we are tied down to the ground and we cannot fly up because we always put the burden of the genocide on ourselves and our kids. After the commercial break, I'll come back and continue with my thoughts about today's April 24th understanding. Bari Luys.
Մերի Տեր-Բարսեղյանի իրավաբանական գրասենյակում աշխատող անձնակազմը մասնագիտացված է ժառանգության և անշարժ բույքի, ընտանեկան խնդիրների, ամուսնալուծության և այլ իրավաբանական հարցերում։ Մերի Տեր-Բարսեղյանի իրավաբանական գրասենյակի մասնագետները պատրաստ են սիրով և նվիրումով օգնել իրենց հաճախորդներին, ցուցաբերելով անհատական մոտեցում, կտակ, լիազորագրեր և այլ կարևոր փաստաթղթեր կազմելիս, որպեսզի հետագայում ժառանգությունը փոխանցվի հարազատներին առանց դատարանի միջամտության։ Դիմեք իրավաբանին նախապես և վստահ եղեք, որ ձեր իրավունքները լիովին կպաշտպանվեն։
Էնսինոյում գտնվող Terrace Restaurant and Lounge-ը միջին արևելյան ճաշարանների բազմությունից առանձնանում է լավագույն լիբանանյան խոհանոցով։ Ճաշարանի շքեղ բացօթյա սրահը անկրկնելի է բուրավետ հուկա վայելելու և միջին արևելյան ախորժալի խորտիկները ճաշակելու համար։ Ուրբաթ և շաբաթ կենդանի նվագախումբը, DJ-ն ու գեղեցկուհի պարուհիները ձեր ժամանցը կհամեմեն միջերկրական կրքոտրիկներով։ Ճաշարանը բաց է շաբաթը 6 օր, ճաշին և ընթրիքին։ Անմահական ուտեստներ, անկրկնելի միջավայր։ Terrace Restaurant and Lounge։
Blue Eyes Optometry. Օգտվեք մեր հատուկ զեղչերից։ 2 հատ օպտիկական ակնոցների համար վճարեք ընդամենը $79.99 Ցանկացած արևային ակնոց գնեք արժեքից $100 զեղչով։ Ստուգեք ձեր տեսողությունը վճարելով ընդամենը $59։ Պատվիրեք ու ստացեք ձեր ակնոցները 1 ժամվա ընթացքում։ Blue Eyes. Լավագույն սպասարկում, պրոֆեսիոնալ անձնակազմ և մեծ ընտրանի։ Blue Eyes. Chrome Hearts ընկերության բացառիկ ներկայացուցիչ։ 818 507 6100
I would like to mention a couple events happening this weekend, and I'm going to say it in Armenian too. Հայերենով աբիցեմ այս մասը։ Այս շաբաթավերջին հետաքրական երկու ցերնատներ կան։ Ցեղասպանության ոգեգոճման ծրագիրներ են, բայց մշակութային ներկայացումով։ Եվ ինչպես որ գիտեք, անցած շաբաթ այս շաբաթվա ծրագիրներից մեկու մեջը ներկայացրեցի Գլենդելի Հոմենտմենի մշակութային հանձնաժողովի պատրաստած այս շաբաթ եւ գիրագի օրվա ցերնատները, եթե կարող եք երթալ։ Իսկ եթե գաբրիկ Հոլիվուդի շրջանի մեջը, Հոլիվուդի հայ գետրոնի ուրբաթ, այսինքն վաղը, երեկոյան ժամը 7-ին դեղի կունենա մշակութային ցերնարկումը, ներկա եղեք Հոլիվուդի հայ գետրոն երդասարտական գետրոնը 1559 North Canmore Avenue, Los Angeles։ Ուրեմն Հոլիվուդի հայտարարի անձնախումբն է ANCA-ը կազմակերպի եւ հայ օգնության միությունը մայր Մասնաճյուղը, AYF-ը, Հոմենտ Մենը, Լոս Անջելեսի Ռոզ եւ Ալեք Փիլիպոս ասկային դպրոցը միասնապար եկած են եւ մշակութային ցեղմակ մը բիտ ներկայացնեն վաղը Երևան 99-րդ ոգեգոճման ցեղասպանության ոգեգոճման համար եւ Գլենդելի Հոմենտմենի մշակութային անձնախումբը շաբաթ եւ գիրագի օրը Արավոդյան Գեսորեն Ետ եւ գիրագի Արավոդյան կներկայացնեն մշակութային ներկայ եղեք I just expressed those two events in Armenian so that some of the people who don't understand Armenian English, well, almost all of them, they don't understand Armenian. Therefore, we are in this dilemma of what each one of us are saying. But tomorrow night, on Friday, April 11th, the ANCA of Hollywood is presenting a cultural event in commemoration of the 99th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, which will be held at Hollywood Armenian Youth Center, 1559 North Kenmore Avenue, Los Angeles. It has theater, music, sculpture, painting. Culture is what makes us different from any other people. And the genocide's commemoration about the Armenians doesn't make a difference then if it's the genocide of the Rwandanese or the Sudanese or the Cambodians or all those other atrocities, even the Jews, that has happened in this 20th century. And yet, each of us presenting our own cultural diversity come in as the victorious entity, because a genocide is the elimination of the gene, the killing of the gene. Yet today, after the Armenian genocide is almost 99 years, 100 years, and other genocides are 50 years, 20 years, 22 years, and such on, yet people do exist because of their culture. So today, as Armenians in the United States, we strive to go after the recognition of the Armenian genocide. And it's so interesting that who cares if the US recognized it or not? The most important thing is that for the Turkish government to recognize the genocide. Over 35 countries in the world have recognized the genocide for the last 25 years. What has that done? What have we achieved more by the recognition of the Armenian genocide? There is only one country who matters, and that's the Turkish Republic. And unfortunately, we Armenians tend to spend money and energy in the wrong place, whereas if just an idea that I can throw right now so that you will not say that I'm only bashing and not giving any ideas. For the last 18 years, I've been talking about publishing or presenting documentaries in Turkish to the Turkic-speaking people about the Armenian genocide. Yet we stand and then ask the US government to recognize the Armenian genocide, where in the last almost 30 years, the US government twice or three times have achieved that goal of talking about the Armenian genocide in Congress and in Senate, where the first year in 1980s, don't quote me on the years, because I know somebody as smart as you who's sitting on the left side is going to say, Sakhalorasov. Who cares? Who cares about the recognition? I personally, I don't care. And if you guys have an issue with it, start using your brains, and then you will find out that the recognition of the Armenian genocide by the US government does not mean anything. So we need to work in a different angle, from a different perspective, on how to make people associate themselves with the Armenians. And that, in my opinion, what I'm doing for the last 5-6 years is presenting how Armenians have made a difference to the universe because of their smart gene that they have. Will achieve much better, I don't know, you guys want to say it, empathy, sympathy, sympathy, tampati, tumputi, whatever word you guys are going to use there. It does not make any difference unless the Turkish government recognizes that they have done something wrong 100 years ago. But again, that will not happen because they know better. Armenians are just having fun with their asking of the recognition. I know you might say right now, then how come Turkey is spending that much money? Well, I said Armenians are stupid, but I will say that Turks are much stupider than Armenians. If Armenians are asking the US government to recognize the genocide, and Armenians are spending few $1 million, the Turks are spending few $100 million. Why? Because they're much stupider than Armenians who are asking for the recognition of the genocide. I know, if emotionally you're listening to me, you're going to be so angry about me and you're going to call me the anti-Armenian person. But if you start utilizing your logic, you will find out how important is what I'm saying. And then this anti-Armenian person on April 24th is going to gift every Armenian on the planet, or anybody who wants to know about the Armenians, the ability on the iPhone to search about Armenian locations. A travel guide to every Armenian destination under the sun. Partam, all things Armenian. Now people, they're going to say, he's capitalizing on the genocide day for his app. Remember what I have said 18 years ago? The minute the Armenian genocide turns into a money-making machine, the whole planet will be after helping Armenians. But unfortunately, because we believe in this God who does not exist, and we try to be so saintful about everything, and sometimes sinful, then nobody's going to care about us. After the commercial break, I'll come back and talk about how a positive energy will make sure that the Armenian genocide will never be forgotten for so many thousand years from now. Bari Luys.
Անգամ ընտանեկան կյանքում պատահող տհաճ վայրկյանները կհաշտեցնի գարունի մածունը մեղրով։ Պատրաստված է միայն թարմ Կալիֆոռնիայի կաթից, առանց արհեստական հորմոնների։ Շնորհիվ իր բաղադրության առողջարար է եւ կվերականգնի ձեր ուժերը ամբողջ օրվա ընթացքում։ Եվ իրոք կառողջացնի ընտանեկան մթնոլորտը։ Գարունի մածունը մեղրով։ Գարուն համեղության անուն։
Բովարդիա բանկետ հալ, շքեղ վերակառուցված խնջույքների սրահ 250 հոգու համար, ընդարձակ պարհրապարակ, գուննեղ լուսավորում, համեղ ճաշեր, ընտիր խմիչքներ և ժամանցի սենյակ երեխաների համար, գրանցեք ձեր հաջորդ առիթը այս սրահում։ Բովարդիա
LABK Services հաստատությունը առաջարկում է սննկացման, bankruptcy-ի հայտարարագրման ծառայություններ։ Դիմումների ամբողջական լրացում 1 ցածր արժեքով։ $399 գումարած արձանագրության պետական վճարումը։ Bankruptcy-ի դիմելու դյուրին ընթացք, ժամանակի ու դրամի խնայողություն։ Մենք երաշխավորում ենք սննկացման գործընթացի գաղտնապահությունը։ Bankruptcy-ի հետ կապված բոլոր հարցերով դիմեք LABK Services գրասենյակ։
Coming back to the issue of the Armenian genocide on April 24th, we're only some 15 or 20 days away from it, and every Armenian is more aggressive about the recognition of the Armenian genocide. Yes, yes, and all those selfies, pictures that they're taking and will be posting on April 24th in all the social media. But what have we achieved different from last year? Nothing. Armenians need to change their way of approaching and presenting the Armenian genocide. My approach is this. 1915, the Armenian genocide, there was a decree gathering all the intellectuals and killing them, and people started ethnic cleansing, understanding, taking out from their villages and sending them to the desert. 100 years later, Armenians are all over the world protecting, presenting, and making life more progressive on an individual basis. They're gifting every human being the ability to do so many things because of their genius brains that present, create. Just recently, there was a PR piece from England about this Armenian doctor who's creating organs that you can replace with, and he's making them from tissues from your body. Why that doctor was in England? Because his ancestors were thrown out of Armenia. His ancestors went to the Syrian desert, to Iranian lands, cities, to Lebanon, to Jordan, to Jerusalem, to France, to America. He was born, he got educated, and then he's contributing back. And once you start sticking that idea of he's the offspring of a genocide survivor, then people, they're going to say, what was that genocide survival? Who was it? But now, when you start throwing the genocide survivors, they're going to say, do you remember Rwanda? You remember, because it's been only 20 years, 22 years. In the African continent, there were so many genocides. Over 6-7 million people were killed because of ethnic cleansing. Now you want to force me your 100-year-old genocide, that you don't have recognition for it? Honestly, I don't care. That's what the answer will be. But if you tell an organ transplant patient who is still living because he was gifted an organ, a kidney, a liver, whatever it was, and he's alive, because Dr. John Najarian, who is an orphan genocides, orphan from a genocide's kid, who got educated and contributed, and now this individual is living because of that doctor's contribution, it's going to make a big difference. But again, coming from a slave mentality, you have always to beg for what is rightfully yours. But if you're not a slave and you're the master, you will demand what is rightfully yours, and you can go beyond what is rightfully yours. Because they're telling us, be Christian, give forgiveness and such on. Yet we don't do that thing, but we do ask for recognition of the Armenian genocide. From whom? From people who have nothing to do with the Armenian genocide. The US government, the Russians have accepted it, the France has accepted it. The major powers, you go after them. You spend money in Congress, in Senate, lobbying and doing, just for what? We're so happy today that the US Foreign Affairs Committee has adopted the Armenian genocide resolution. Big deal. Oh, you're going to say it's a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal for you because you're thinking only this much. But when you start thinking about this much, then you know that society has better ways of doing that. What will happen if the US government recognizes the Armenian genocide? I know somebody's going to call me right now and on my phone and say, I'm a Turk, I'm a person who doesn't care about the Armenian genocide. And I will tell them right now, if you have done as much as I have done for the Armenian identity, then I'll shut up and you talk. But since you haven't done and you can never achieve what I have done, and if this is a self-promotion, yes it is, because Armenians don't know how to promote the right people. They only promote, just like the regular population on the planet, who makes what from what. If I stand up right now and talk about the Armenian genocide, my ancestors from Marash and Urfa, we were transported to in the desert and everything, and I write a book about how Armenians were suffering, then every Armenian will be so proud of me. But since I'm saying, you know, you can be proud of me, but the world will be spitting on me. But now I can spit on the world, and they will respect me. Then you have no interest in what I'm doing. To all the people who understood what I'm talking about, millions of Bari Luys, the people who did not understand me, stay as an Abush. One day you're going to turn into an Ushim, and then you're going to respect what I have said today. Till we meet again, Bari Luys. Աբուշի մեկը պիտի լաս, եթե չհասկնաս, որ Ամերիկայի Միացյալ Նահանգները հայկական է։ Bari Luys